wonder why, out of all of Gertrude's grandchildren, that I'm the one up here speaking today. Well, simply put, it's because I was her favorite. At least that's how she made me feel. And I think that's how she made each one of us feel. And that was one of the very special things about my grandma, who we affectionately called Grandma Dodo. The truth is, I do feel like my grandma and I are connected in many ways. As you may have noticed, Gertrude's given name was Laura, and I am her namesake. So this is an honor and a responsibility for me to speak with you today. So thank you for that. It's certainly a difficult time for our family and friends. And while I was reflecting upon what I would say today, I found myself thinking about her life, and I kept coming back to a common theme of joy. She was truly blessed to have lived for 80 years, and during that time, she led a life full of many joys. She largely escaped significant heartache or tragedy. So in honoring her life, I want to talk about joy. What brought her joy, and the joy that she brought to us. Many of the people that brought her joy are here today, so on behalf of Gertrude's family, thank you. One of Grandma's greatest joys was playing the piano. She recalled that one of her proudest moments was when she earned a 1 at a piano contest as a child. Gertrude played the piano at the First United Methodist Church in Claremont for over 40 years, alongside Betty Devine on the organ. I think the congregation there felt as much joy from hearing the magic of her music as she got from playing it. Being such a talented pianist, she felt that it was important that each of her children take piano lessons, and some of them, however, took to it more than others. Grandma told me many stories of a joyful childhood. Although her family lived through hard times during the Great Depression, she clearly had many fond memories of growing up in Claremont. She recounted to me a story of the first time that she drove a car, and her brother CJ had to come along as a chaperone. It sounded to me like maybe she was up to no good. She also greatly admired her sister Charlene. She said that she wished she could play the piano as well as Charlene, and likewise, Charlene wished she could sew as well as Gertrude. She described how her parents had their children later in life, and that they truly spoiled their children. She clearly thought a lot of her mother, who was a well-respected teacher in the area, and her father, who was a hard-working farmer. She must have been quite close to them, because not long after she and Paul were married, they moved right across the street from her parents. Grandpa recounted to me just the other night the story of how he and Grandma met. He and 2 friends had gone to the skating rink, and they took a look around and saw 3 young ladies who fit the bill of what they had in mind. So Paul pointed to Gertrude and said, "I think I like that one." A few other young men kind of picked their respective girls, and their strategy must have worked because all 3 of the couples were married. Paul and Gertrude shared more than 60 years together, and he was undoubtedly the light of her life. They did many things together that certainly brought her a lot of joy. Grandpa loved to ride bicycles, and she accompanied him on many a bicycle ride across Iowa or even the United States, sometimes on a bicycle herself, but more often riding alongside it in a pickup filled with supplies for the bikers. They also enjoyed spending winters in Arizona, which they did for several years, and they valued the strong friendships that they made in their campgrounds and kept in touch with many of the couples still today. It was during those trips to Arizona that they developed their love of the game dominoes, which they have enjoyed playing with friends and family over the years. Perhaps the thing that she and Paul did together that meant the most to her was creating their family. She truly dedicated her life to raising her family, and she did it well. Each of her children brought her joy in their own unique way. Their oldest son, Wayne, was certainly a joy being the firstborn. And Gertrude was the biggest fan from the start. This was lucky, since he turned out to be the really only accomplished athlete in the family. Gertrude always enjoyed cheering him on from the sidelines, and later, as he took the lead of Smith Brothers Masonry, carried on family business. Terry, their second son, is a bit of a softer soul. Grandma took joy in his love of piano and music, and she valued his spiritual guidance throughout the years. He had a way of connecting with her, which has really been a blessing in the last few months. Susan, my mom, was their only girl, and I think after having 2 boys, Grandma was so excited to have a girl that she spent most of my mom's childhood sewing clothes for her and dressing her up like her own little doll. And my mom says that she was always proud to wear the clothes that Grandma had made for her. As mothers and daughters do, some days they aggravated one another, but most days they were best friends. They took very good care of one another. And then along came Robbie. He was the youngest and truly the baby of the family. Grandma took great joy in spoiling him, and he always had a special place in her heart. And any of you that know Robbie know his feeling was mutual, because she held a special place in his life. As you can see from looking around, their children left them with 8 grandchildren and 8 more great-grandchildren. We grandchildren have many fond memories of our grandparents, and most of them center around spending time in their place in Vermont. Our grandparents had a perfect play haven for grandchildren, complete with a larger-than-life playhouse, a pond for fishing or ice skating, a huge timber with walking trails and an expert trail guide, a basketball hoop, a garage stuffed with so many of Grandpa's tools it was a wonder the boys never hurt themselves, a workroom for refurbishing dollhouses and trunks, and another for sewing. Needless to say, there was always something to do at Grandma and Grandpa's place, and I know that she took a lot of joy in being our grandmother, though. As I grew into a young adult, Grandma and I developed a unique friendship that I'll always treasure. We simply connected in a way that was relatively rare. I spent a lot of time with them during my young adulthood, and one of the things I learned about Grandma during our conversations is that she knew what was right and she acted upon it, even if it was the hard, right thing. She was a very giving person, welcoming people into her home and helping those less fortunate than her. This is a virtue that I greatly respect in her. There's an old adage that says, girls often marry men like their father, and while I would be happy to marry a man like my father, I happen to marry one that's a lot like my grandfather. My husband is Jason, and my grandpa are alike in many quirky yet lovable ways. So Grandma and I have shared a lot of laughs in recent years about what it's like to be married to the 2 of them, with all of their newspaper clippings and conservation efforts and respective hobbies or obsessions. I hope that Jason and I will be blessed to share 60 years of marriage as they have. I've watched Paul and Gertrude interact for several years with admiration. Not too long ago, I watched them leaving my parents' house, and he had his arm around her waist, and he guided her out of the house gingerly and patiently, and she just looked up at him and kind of giggled like a young girl. I have no idea what he said, but in that moment, you could see the secret that the 2 of them had shared, and something that has kept them together for 60 years, the culmination of all of their love, and he was undoubtedly her greatest joy. Now, I simply can't wrap up without mentioning one other joy in her life, and that was looking good. Whether it was Kat doing her hair, or Erin doing her nails, or a shopping trip to Clara, or getting dressed up to play bridge with her dear friends, she always felt good when she looked good, something I think women can appreciate. I would like to close with a verse from Philippians, and I don't think I can top the verse that the pastor read earlier, because that was such a nice tribute to her, but I will share this verse to remind us about joy. Rejoice in the Lord always. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace